This last segment is addressing questions regarding building on the previous year and Ms. Murphy's philosophy of practice.
Okay, so building on the previous year, we have expanded to other grade levels. We are now having our data chats with third, fourth, and fifth grade. Um, we are also involving students in the support. One challenge, and this leads into some of the other questions and feedback. A challenge is always going to be help. You know, who can we involve because we're so limited with our staff members. So, being that there was such a great response with students wanting to help with younger kids, again, I go back to lunchtime. I think lunchtime is a time that voluntarily students could use to help others and also to receive help themselves. So, one of the expansions we've made this year is I have about 13 kindergartners who are not where they need to be on their letter recognition and letter sounds. And so I asked fourth grade to give me a recruitment list of fourth grade students who could work with them in the cafeteria when they finish lunch because they have a bit of an overlap in their lunch times. And I actually asked the fourth grade teachers not to give me their necessarily their most scholarly kids, to give me students that were what we might call the bubble kids, students who maybe needed a little a boost. And so the teachers identified, each teacher identified a group of kids, and I brought the kids down and gave them an invitation and asked them, I said that they had been chosen to help out with some kindergarten students, and gave them an invitation and basically described what they were going to be doing in the project, and asked them that they were invited and they were allowed to say no. Would they like to be a part of this project, or would they not like to be a part of this project? And of course, all of them were very excited. There was a lot of buzz about it, and they all said yes. And then bugged me all throughout the day for the following days until the program actually started about when were they going to start working with their kids. We had that particular program that they come into the cafeteria, and the first couple of days I just had them sit with the kindergartners just to kind of get to know them, to let them talk, and then they began working on a routine that I had another teacher train the kids on the big kids on, and now they're working with the students Monday through Thursday in the cafeteria for literally 10 minutes a day, to help them get where they need to be on letter recognition. There are consequences and maybe some unplanned or unintended consequences. The obvious consequences are the effect that this partnership is having on the little ones in terms of learning their letters. Um, Unintended consequences, the relationships being built between them. And again, it's a very diverse group, and we mixed them up with, in a way that would just kind of help them grow on their relationships with one another, mixing some different cultures and partnerships. And then another unintended consequence is the confidence building that is happening for our fourth grade students, for these students that were chosen for the project, not necessarily being always the top of the class, and not necessarily being chosen for things like this. So I think that it's doing a lot for their own self, the way that they view themselves. Um, Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, instructional staff, everything stays the same. You know, everybody's given us everything they have, and our obstacles tend to be time, as always, in every aspect, time and staff. So we're being as creative as we can, using other kids to help. Our data chats are carrying on. I have moved the data chats again into the cafeteria. The data chats now occur during lunchtime. We have a multi-purpose room connected to the lunchroom. I closed the wall almost all the way through. I sit on one side with the microphone, and I call students over for their 101 data chats, and just fill them in about where they are. And again, it's being received well because students are stopping me in the hallway asking me when am I going to have their data chat. So we're keeping that up. Also, we hand created a lot of the documentation that we used last year to record data, but with the improvements in Performance Matters and the inclusion of some of the iStation overall reading scores being in Performance Matters, it's a whole lot easier to access that information now. So again, the project is carrying on. We have new staff members that we're getting on board, and we have other staff members that we're continuing to try to help them see things as we see, my principal and I, from a positive aspect, looking at students for their assets and not their deficits. And again, I think that's something that we'll be working on for a very long time. But we both believe in that so strongly. And truly, in any school, but really in a school like ours, where it is such a needy population in general, to go back to the relationships. It sounds so easy. It sounds cliche. It is not a given in every school. And it is the single thing that will begin your move forward. Are we where we want to be? No, absolutely not. Does our data show huge results? No, it does not. I think that will come in time. There's a question asked that if I were to go, would this carry on without me? I don't know yet. I think it's too soon to say that because it has only been 1 year of us with this particular way of work and the data chats and things such as that. So I hope that we're laying the groundwork so that this can be replicated here if my principal and I weren't here, or in any other school. For my philosophy of practice, the biggest obstacle in focusing on positive beliefs is it's really a mindset shift for staff members and children to who maybe have not had a positive experience so far with education, or whose family hasn't had a positive experience with education, and then staff members who I hate to say, but maybe are a bit old-fashioned, and when things don't go the way they're supposed to and students don't do what they're supposed to, looking for a punishment, and helping them understand that consequences don't necessarily equal punishments, and that what works for one doesn't work for all, and that the purpose of a consequence is to deter a behavior from happening again. So really trying to learn our kids and learn what each one of them responds to, because it could be different, as teachers know in a classroom, it could be different for each one of them. So just continuing to help build that understanding, and also helping teachers and staff members to understand the importance of positive beliefs, believing in their kids, choose their words. I had a teacher share with me a situation where a very challenging student, 5th grade student this year, challenging student, and the teacher shared a negative experience that had occurred during lunch that day. The teacher invited the student to come and have lunch with her outside on the patio. Sounds very relaxing, very comfortable. It didn't end up that way, and the reason it didn't end up that way, in my opinion, is the teacher started the conversation with the student saying that the first words I think of when I think of you are, and then gave a list of 4 to 5 negative words. Challenging, annoying, loud, rude, disrespectful, things such as that. And the teacher went on to tell the student that she would like to change her association so that there was a different list of words that came to her mind. And then the student wasn't responsive. The student did not respond the way the teacher thought, and she thought this was such a great idea. And so when the teacher came and asked me for feedback, my response to her was, you lost her from the moment you listed those 5 negative adjectives to describe her. You lost her in that moment. So to move forward, You have to acknowledge that. So again, the teacher's mindset with the greatest of intentions, but because she started off with the list of negatives about this student, even though she moved on to what she wanted to do, she lost her. So continuing to build the teacher understanding of how your words and that positivity and letting the students know that you believe in them instead of criticizing them. It doesn't feel good for anybody to be criticized, but when they're 10 years old and they're used to being treated a certain kind of way, we have to do something to break that cycle. So that's a continuing obstacle, but again, one that we're still working on and will not give up on. And I'm very hopeful about the positive beliefs and the power that it has. Questions or qualities that we look for in a new hire to make sure that they follow our vision would definitely have to be the positivity, the presence that a person has, their view on the system, because I think that there are some very tainted views, and you can tell in an interview how someone feels toward. Definitely, you bring up discipline, you bring up behaviors, disrespect. I mean, you have to acknowledge those things, and then I think you can kind of get a feel for a person's true response. But again, at our school, we're looking for people who share our view. They share our vision in terms of positivity. My principal brought to this school the idea of an energy bus. It's a book by John Gordon. I know someone asked earlier about any kind of book that we related back to or we used for our project. And not that it was directly used as part of this project, but it was used as part of the project of turning the school around, and that was the Energy Bus by John Gordon. And it goes along with a lot of the ideals of this inquiry, and that is the positive energy, the impact of it, and the impact of that on moving any organization forward, but most especially our kids, our future. So it's very easy to get caught up in the way that we have all been trained, and that's something that we found ourselves, my colleagues and I, in our Level 2 project, we found ourselves going back to time and time again, trying to not let the focus be on how to bridge the gap, what do they already have going well, and how do we build on that, and how do we look at things from that perspective instead of looking at what's not in place or where the weaknesses are. So that's something that I think you'll find a struggle throughout the whole entire process, but it is worthwhile. I definitely recommend that you drink the Kool-Aid. It tastes a lot better than what we've been served in the past. Thank you.